Hello, everyone. This is the CircuitPython weekly meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. It's the time of the week where we get together to talk about all things CircuitPython. I'm Dan, and I'm sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a version of Python designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. CircuitPython development is primarily sponsored by Adafruit, so if you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from Adafruit.com. This meeting is hosted on the Adafruit Discord server. You can join anytime by going to adafru.it/discord. We hold the meeting in the CircuitPython dev text channel and the CircuitPython voice channel. This meeting typically happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time, except when it coincides with a U.S. holiday. In the notes doc, which I'll talk about in a minute, there's a link to a calendar you can view online or add to your favorite calendar app. We also send notifications about upcoming meetings via Discord. If you would like to receive these notifications, ask us to add you to the @CircuitPythonista's Discord role in our server. There is a shared notes document, right now that's a Google Doc, that accompanies the meeting and recording. You can contribute to this meeting beforehand. The final notes document includes timestamps to go along with the video, so you can use the doc to skip around and view the parts of the video that interest you most. The meeting tends to run 30 to 60 minutes. After each meeting, we post a link for the next meeting's notes documents to the CircuitPython dev channel on the Adafruit Discord. Check the pinned messages to find the latest notes doc, so you can add your notes for the following meeting. If you wish to participate but cannot attend, you can leave hug reports and status updates in the document for us to read during the meeting. This meeting is held in 5 parts. I'll go over these parts as we get to them. So I will take a timestamp in the notes doc, and we'll go on to community news. These are news items of interest that come from our weekly Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. I'll talk about that at the end, about the newsletter. So first up, there's a news item about regular Python, that is CPython, the Python you get from python.org. What's coming in 2026? There are some really interesting sort of technical developments that are being worked on in Python, including maybe type checking, language server protocols, free threading, lazy imports possibly, and also simpler package management and kind of bundling up Python as a standalone with a program as a standalone app. That's all talked about in the link that's in the notes doc. It's I just was able to skim it, but there's some interesting things in there. These are not necessarily things that you're going to see in CircuitPython anytime soon, but if you're interested in Python, take a look at that. Next up, CircuitPython 2026 responses are rolling in. The CircuitPython developers would like to hear from you about how to improve CircuitPython in 2026. We have a deadline for kind of tomorrow to write up something like what would you like CircuitPython to do that it can't do, what chipsets would you like it to run on, what tools are missing or need improving, what documentation is missing or needs work, and how would you like to program and debug CircuitPython yourself, or tell us about the newsletter too. So if you post something, it can be kind of anywhere, and hashtag it CircuitPython 2026. It could be an email to CircuitPython2026@adafruit.com. It could be, send an email to CircuitPython2026@adafruit.com and give us a link to whatever you wrote up. It could be a Google Doc, it could be a blog post, it could be a gist, it could be a post in Discord, whatever you want. Just give us your text, and we'll reconsolidate all these things and make up links to all of them and then read them over, and it helps us decide what to work on for the next year. And thanks to Scott for organizing this, as he does each and every year. All right. And next up, there's a kind of a caveat. Some fake Raspberry Pi Picos are showing up on AliExpress. They look like Pi Picos, but they don't have some markings that you would expect on a Pi Pico. They cost less. They claim to be using a certain rev of the RP2040 chip, but in fact they're using an older defective rev. Don't buy these. It'll just cause you headaches. In general, be careful of lower priced boards that seem to be similar to existing boards. They may be not what they appear to be. And you'll end up spending a lot of time on it. And how much is your time worth, kind of, you should think about. And also, if you ask for help, people may puzzle over these with you, and it turns out that it was a waste of time because it was not what it seemed to be. All right. Next up, let's talk about where these news items came from. They came from the Python and Microcontrollers weekly newsletter, which is edited by Anne. It goes out by email every week on Monday mornings. You can visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe to the newsletter. It highlights the latest Python and hardware-related news from around the web, including CircuitPython, regular Python, and MicroPython developments. It highlights projects, things like that. If you have any kind of thing you'd like to share and have it appear in the newsletter, write to cpnews@adafruit.com and give us a link, or just write up what you want to share. It could be kind of anywhere, and we'll put that content in the newsletter. It's really very much part. It's your newsletter. We add items to it and digs up a lot of items, but we also would love to have things that you would like to share with the community. All right, that's it for the community news section of the meeting. I'll go on to the state of CircuitPython, libraries, and Blinka. This section is a quantitative overview of the entire project. It gives us a chance to look at the health of the CircuitPython project separate from our status updates. We'll talk about the project overall and then separately discuss the core, the libraries, and Blinka. Okay, first of all, overall statistics. In the last week, there were 10 pull requests merged by 9 authors. Some authors I haven't seen before. There are quite a few here. Gremlin, Victor 1115, Ilario, Logan Carter 08, G. Dudek, C. Funseth. Some of these may have appeared before, but their names, these names are not as familiar to me as some. So anyway, out of these 10 pull requests, there were 4 reviewers, and there were 3 issues closed by 3 people and 4 opened by 4 people. And next up, we've got the core. Scott, do you feel available to talk about the core?
Sure.
Okay.
If you hear the baby behind me, that's what's going on. So we have 0 pull requests merged last week. So quiet week for us. We have 22 open pull requests. So those are, a lot of those are just sitting there. But we are comfortably under our goal of keeping it under 25, which is good. There's 1 pull request that's been open a day. So I haven't caught up on email yet, so I'm not sure what the state of that is. Issues wise, we had 1 closed issue by 1 person, 1 open by 1 person. So we're keeping up with issues as well, for a total of 847 open issues. Oh. Ren, do you want to say something? She's eating. Issues wise, we had 0 issues not assigned to milestones. So we are keeping up with triage. We have 7 open issues for the 10.1 release, which will be our next stable release. And also 13 open issues for 10.0x. But we're not really getting through those right now because Dan and I are both working on feature work at the moment. And that's where we are for the core.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. Okay. We'll go on to talk about libraries. And Tim, are you available to talk about that?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. This section covers all the CircuitPython libraries, which are published to GitHub. They are under two different library bundles. So we have the Adafruit library bundle, which has 380 libraries in it currently, and the community library bundle with libraries published by third parties. That one has 172 libraries in it, for a total right now of 552 libraries that support CircuitPython. We did have 10 pull requests merged in the last week. I've been going back and trying to push forward some of the older ones, get those merged and updated as I can. So that's where a lot of those came from. We had 9 different authors, echoing what Dan mentioned before, thanks to the newer or less frequent contributors. Those were all the same names that stuck out to me this week that I don't recall having seen before. So thanks to those folks, again, who Dan mentioned, as well as our others who are here and pop up in the lists more frequently from time to time. We had 4 reviewers, thanks to Scott, Jerry, Dan, and myself for doing some library reviews this week. Of the merged pull requests, the oldest one was getting up there, 462 days, and there were a handful of others that were around a year or so. And then the newest ones, like usual, were just brand new at a day old. That leaves us after the week with 36 open pull requests. The oldest one of those is a draft that's 1,251 days currently. The newest one is 1 day, so brand new. Issues-wise, we had 2 issues closed by 2 people, 2 new issues opened up by 2 people. And that leaves us right now with 772 issues open across the libraries that are in the Adafruit bundle. And there is one of those currently that's labeled as a good first issue. You can find that one as well as the rest listed over at circuitpython.org/contributing, which is a website where you should head if you are interested in getting involved in the CircuitPython project. Usually folks who are brand new, who don't necessarily know exactly what they want to work on, they just want to get involved. The first thing we tend to point folks towards is reviewing open PRs. So that's the first thing you see when you open that web page, circuitpython.org/contributing, a list of open pull requests. Those are links to GitHub. They're waiting for a person to come along and review them, which just means taking a look over the code. If you have the hardware for it, test it out on hardware, and then leave a comment on GitHub letting us know how it went. If you get comfortable with that process, we can also level you up on GitHub to leave official reviews over there, so it kind of turns green and such, but comments honestly are just as good. If you want to start contributing some of your own code, you can also do that from the same page. If you click over to the Issues tab in the navigation along the top, you'll see a similar looking list of links over to GitHub, but these ones represent issues instead of pull requests, so there is no proposed change yet. They're waiting for a person who wants to come along and actually write some code to propose a change to either fix a bug or add a new feature or enhancement, maybe a new example, something like that. So that's another thing you can do if you'd like to get involved, is take a look through the list of issues, find something that looks interesting to you, click through to GitHub, read up what the issue is about, and then submit a pull request to try and resolve it. We have a Learn Guide for contributing to CircuitPython using Git and GitHub. We also have folks who are more than happy to help you out here on Discord. So if you get involved with reviewing or trying to submit your own pull requests and you're having trouble with the version control or the pre-commit or the actions or any other part of the process, just come say hi on Discord. Let us know what you're up to and what kind of trouble you're having. We would be happy to help you out. We want everyone to be able to contribute whatever way works best for them. And then I will leave you with the updated libraries for the week. I'll leave you with the community bundle one. So over in the community bundle, USB host gamepad, the Piper Blockly library, and the CircuitPython ANSI escape codes library all had updates this week. And that's what we had for libraries. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Tim. Okay, we'll move on now to Blinka. Blinka is a compatibility layer for CircuitPython on single-board computers like Raspberry Pi. So what this does is it lets you write code that looks like CircuitPython and uses the CircuitPython native hardware capabilities, but they're emulated on top of regular desktop Python, CPython. So it's a nice way to be able to do physical computing on a single-board computer. Okay, so in the past week, there were no pull requests merged. There are 18 pull requests right now, ranging from 5 days to over almost 5 years or something, 4 years maybe. And there were 0 issues closed by 0 people, 1 opened by 1 person. There are now 144 open issues having to do with Blinka, and there are 166 supported boards that run under the Blinka compatibility layer. And that is it for the state of CircuitPython libraries and Blinka. So next up, we've got Hug reports. And I'll take a timestamp. So Hug reports is a chance to highlight folks in the CircuitPython community and beyond for doing awesome things. I'll start, and then we'll go down the list of Hug reports by each person alphabetically. If you are text only or missing the meeting, I'll read your notes when I get to them in the list. So first up is Carter, also known as Cater. Would you like me to read it, or you want to go ahead and read? Okay, I'll read Carter's. Thanks to Dan H. for helping sanity check a hardware issue with Circuit Playground Bluefruit. And also thanks to Foamy Guy, that is Tim, for helping with MagTag lit clock stuff. Next up, I've got mine. Thanks to Bablock B, who's done a lot of careful testing and reviews of various CircuitPython issues and changes, PRs in the past several weeks. We really appreciate that work and reviews of stuff. Next up, David Glode, who's not here, so I'll read theirs. Thanks to Scott for restarting the deep dive, and thanks to all those working on the Pac-Man game for Fruit Jam. So that'll be interesting when it comes out. And next up is Tim.
Right. I have a Hug report this week thanks to Tektrick, who popped up and did some PR reviews on GitHub. Appreciate that. Thanks also to Relic SC. This one is a week or two late, but they made some great improvements in the FruitJam OS screensaver app. So you can now preview the screensavers and select a screensaver to use. We talked about that in the weeds a couple of weeks back, and it's really cool to see that functionality added. And then I have a group hug for everyone. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Tim. All right, and next up is Scott, if he's available again.
Yeah, thank you. I have a hug for everybody who's done CircuitPython 2026 so far. I'm super excited for this year and appreciate everybody thinking about what we want to do.
Okay, thanks, Scott. I'm remiss on writing mine, so I'll try to do it this afternoon. Next up, we've got status updates, which is in a similar format. It's our time to tell folks what we're up to individually. I'll start, and then we'll go through the list of people alphabetically. You can take a couple of minutes to talk about what you've been doing since last meeting and what you'll be doing until the next meeting. So I'll take a timestamp. So I'm still continuing with the Airlift Wi-Fi implementation. It's got a lot of stuff is working. I'm now making sure that UDP and TLS client access work. We can't do TLS server access. I really want to finish this off soon and publish the draft PR. It's kind of interesting, the problems that I have to face, which are that the socket API is not that precise in some ways, and you have to sort of try things out. What happens if you try to call bind twice? For instance, I'd like the behavior to be similar. And the way that Airlift Nina FW works is not really the way the regular socket API, the POSIX socket API works. But it's been interesting, and I think I'm going to succeed in figuring out what I need to do. Okay, next up, I'll read David Glode's report. Removing dust from my Fruit Jam to test Pac-Man and check all my joysticks to find one that's compatible. Gemini wrote me a library to read the PlayStation USB Buzz controller with the same event API as the Gamepad API. To do, try playing Pac-Man with 4 players, each controlling only one direction with one Buzz handle and button. make it all a real library with cookie cutter and all. I'm not sure what that means, but we'll find out when it shows up. All right. Cookie cutter. Okay. Thank you. David said he wrote this on his phone, so I can assume that there's some transcription issues. Okay, next up is Tim.
All right, thanks, Dan. I have been continuing on with some library PR reviews, so put the call out again, like I mentioned last week. If anyone has a library PR that's open and you think it's waiting for someone to take a look and no one has yet, feel free to tag me or ping me on Discord, but I'm just working through those as I can. I this past week updated the FruitJam OS Screensavers guide page with details about the new Screensaver app, so you can see how to use that now in the guide. I am putting the Talking Multimeter project. I think I mentioned it last week, and I did some work on it on my stream, putting that one on hold for a little while, and then started up a new project to do in the meantime, which is a haiku viewer for the MagTag. We're going to have some haikus listed in Adafruit.io in a text file, and it will let you cycle through them on the MagTag. So a little bit simpler, but a fun project nonetheless. That's what I've been up to. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. And then finally, we've got Scott.
I'm home with a sick kid. You might be able to hear her. She's ready for nap. So I'm not doing as much as you would normally be doing. I'm still working on the native I/O expander support. I was working on adding that for the Yoto mini player, which has some of the 4-wire display lines over I/O expander. It's not quite working, so I've got to figure out why. I got more probes, so I can do more logic capture for that. So I think that once I'm able to get to the office and use these new probes, it shouldn't be too bad to get it going. And then even though I'm home, I'll be able to wrap up CircuitPython 2026 tomorrow, or maybe Thursday. Let people send stuff in on Wednesday. But I've got a couple to send out today, and that'll be a reminder to the blog as well. So again, thanks to everybody who did it. I'm very excited for this year.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Okay, next up, we don't have any in the weeds topics. That's where we would maybe have a longer discussion if there was something that we wanted to talk about in a little more detail. So we'll just wrap up. Just tell everybody, now we're back to weekly meetings after doing bi-weekly meetings for several months during last fall. The next meeting is next Monday, January 26th, 2026. There we've got two 26s there, and it'll be at the regular time, 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern, 11 a.m. U.S. Pacific time. So thanks everybody for writing stuff up, and thanks to everybody who's interested and is taking a look at the video or reading the transcripts or the meeting notes. All right, and I'll say bye-bye for this week.